Today, I just want to resource you with the no bullshit, hard work that you need to do if you truly want to transform your life and reinvent yourself in 2025. If you don't want to do the hard, deep, muddy work that it takes to change, this video isn't for you, so go on to the next one. But if you're here to really devote wholeheartedly to becoming all that you can be this year, this video is exactly for you. In essence, I just want to help you increase your aliveness, deepen your connection to your life's purpose, find it if you haven't found it yet, and really accept the challenge of becoming all that you can be by really becoming the most whole, integrated, and sort of sovereign version of you. So I have 3 tried and true practices, techniques, and prompts, plus a bonus that you're going to want to stay around until the end to make sure that you get the most juice out of this guide. So if you're new here, my name's Kev. I'm an architectural designer, award-winning furniture designer and fabricator, and now I'm a creative strategist, and I just really help ambitious creatives design and build a life and business that feels aligned from the inside out by removing and clearing out all those inner blockages and really just accepting that challenge of becoming all that you can be, right? So let's just dive straight in to the first practice here. The first practice is really a pattern interrupt to the way that so many of us live our lives. So many of us are waiting for one day when we'll have enough time and resources to finally pursue our dream. One day when we finally meet that dream partner and then we can start living. One day when we'll be free of demands. The practice is in dissolving that illusion, in learning to give everything now. One of my favorite quotes in this season is by a man named David Data. If you're a man, or I guess it doesn't matter who you are, but especially for me since I'm a man, anyone who identifies with the masculine essence, he's an extraordinary teacher. And his quote, it says, "Right now, you are either giving your gifts fully or you are withholding out of fear." It really is that binary, right? So if you are actually curious about living an extraordinary life, you have to stop waiting to live it, which means you have to pursue your wholehearted devotion to yourself and express it awkwardly to the world. Give the gifts of who you are, because everyone has a unique gift. Wherever your blend of genius, curiosity, vocation, what people naturally resonate with from you, that's your sort of unique gift that you offer to the world. But it's really just you. It's your presence, it's your embodiment of who you are that is going to be the vessel of what creates impact in the world. And to actually bring more of that out, you have to stop waiting and you have to get comfortable giving it in a way that might feel uncomfortable. Giving it in a way where you still might have stories of fear. You still might be worried about what people will think. You have a fear of judgment, you have a fear of failure. Maybe even if you're like me, you have a fear of success. What happens if I actually do this well and people accept me? Can I handle that responsibility of being a leader? Can I handle the responsibility of just expressing myself from an integrated place and everything, all the shadows that come from that, right? So to give everything now is to just drop that small story of self. You can leave that story back in 2024, right? You'll dance in and out with an evolution of what your constraint is in life, but you can really make that declaration to yourself now that says, here and now, I drop the small story of myself. I honor that it's kept me safe. It's resilient of me to have sort of subdued my gifts and my light, but here and now I'm ready to accept the challenge of becoming all that I can be. From that place, obviously that doesn't mean, hey, I'm free of fear and constraint, no. But really saying to yourself, committing to yourself, because really what it takes is the act of wholehearted devotion to you, right? You know, there's 80% of the New Year's resolutions fail in the first 2 weeks. It's because we don't really actually know what devotion is. We don't have a template, right? And we don't realize how hard and awkward and muddy the work is to becoming all that we can be. So at some point you have to say, I'm gonna stop waiting for one day when I feel empowered, and I'm gonna create that essence inside of me now. I'm responsible for creating a feeling of empowerment. I'm responsible for creating the surface area for miracles to happen. I'm responsible for everything that's in my life, right? Not everyone wants to really believe that because it's easy for us to loop in stories of victimhood. Now, we are naturally victims of many things, but to perpetuate those stories of why we need to stay small because of this is what happened, granted, there's atrocious things that happen to people. People have been through so much, so have compassion. But if you're here, you're curious about becoming all that you can be. So that involves taking radical responsibility for your life. No matter what you've been through, you have an opportunity presenting you now. So are you going to accept that challenge and opportunity, take responsibility, say, I'm done waiting. I'm done waiting for something to save me, for someone to save me, for life to change before I give my gifts, and I'm just gonna give it all now in my awkward, messy expression. How that might look will be different for everyone, but that might be just you creating more depth in your everyday relationships. When you're down at the coffee shop and you ask how someone is and there's a reluctant good, maybe gently inquire hey man, is that authentic? What's underneath that? Why do you say you're good? Or it can be the way that you show up with your creativity, right? It could be you finally choosing to be bold, right? And to contact that gallery owner, to start that business, to collaborate with that person you want to collaborate with, to send that email, whatever the heck it is, right? It's usually something so small, although it represents a big doorway, that's why it's scary. The action is usually so small of something that could really impact and change our lives in a revolutionary way. So when we stop waiting and we start getting used to giving our gifts now, giving everything that we are now, albeit how awkward it is, we begin to create the potential and possibility to step into more of our life's purpose. So now this comes to the second practice of how do you find your life's purpose and deepen your life's purpose, and why is it even important, right? I mean, it should be self-explanatory, but if you're not connected to your mission and your purpose, you just don't have that quality of aliveness that maybe you see in the people that inspire you. People that are connected to their purpose and their mission are magnetic. They're trustworthy. Life is pouring resources into them, and life is obviously we still go through challenge, right? Doesn't matter how deeply committed you are, you're still gonna go through hardship. But the quality of your life, there is this kind of visceral, this ephemeral quality, right? When you really are connected to yourself and what you're here to do in the world. I mean, that's just as good as it gets, right? Especially for men, their mission and purpose being sort of the imperative of their existence to some degree. It's really important to get keen on or be deep in the exploration of what this means for you. How I have really found it and how I've seen it kind of play out for other people is looking to your wounds. So this practice of helping you really reinvent yourself by deepening your purpose is to integrate your wound, right? Now, obviously, without going into the rabbit hole of my whole story and all the things I've been through and what I've created and achieved and lost and all of those things, most people's wounds involve these kind of formal experiences of shame, creativity, sexuality. My core wound, I don't know why I said my twice. My core wound is around shame and sexuality, which is my power and my life force, my root, right? So I struggled a lot to really be fully devoted and standing in the power of my purpose, because this level of shame kept me from really harnessing that depth of power that is available to me, that's available to everybody. So integrating the wound is to make friends with, embrace, get curious about whatever that protector is. For me, that protector was shame. Shame protected my wound. So to really get to the core of the shame and feel it and love it and just dance with it and get to know it so that I could begin to deconstruct and dissolve it. Because even though a lot of our core wounds come from an experience, they're perpetuated through language and story, right? They're perpetuated mentally, but they are stored in our body. So we have to use the story and unwind that to sort of access the emotion of which it's stuck. Now, I guess this is high level work. This is just a brief overview, but I'm pointing you in the direction so you can go create practice, seek out professional help if you need to, or really just devote to what it means to becoming fully alive in my emotional body, getting rid of these blocks, right? So integrating your wound is getting down to the core of it and realizing your wound is where you serve from, because your wound becomes your greatest gift. Now, it can be more abstract, right? If my wound is around like reclaiming my power and my sort of life force, that doesn't mean my gift is helping people reclaim their power and their life force. No, it just means now that's the place that I create from. You know, the void in your life then becomes your deep value. So integrating your wound is getting down to the nitty-gritty, deep, dark work of really realizing what your core limitations are. It's not a limiting belief. I think people make this mistake, like it's just a belief. No, it's literally, it is a story, but it's coded in your nervous system, and it's the very nature of who you've constructed yourself to be. That's much, much deeper than a belief. Now we got to work our way in from, sometimes the top down. Ideally, the bottom up's the best approach, but sometimes we have to go top down to get to the bottom up from the inside out, right? But once we start to get into our wound and feel it, even though it's really scary, feel it and purge it and get curious about it and dissolve it and blast it open with love and acceptance and all of those things, we start to reclaim the space that was occupied by the wound, that was protected by something like shame or guilt or whatever it is. Now, it's different for everybody, but what I see is it's usually some sort of blend of that. Some sort of shame, guilt that's protecting deep, deep wounds around your expression, right? Your pure expression, which is creativity and sexuality. All emanations of who you are, right? In a hypersexualized culture, that gets really thrown out of proportion. But really just like your deep essence of who you are, your strength, your power from how you create, how you offer yourself to the world, where you speak from, right? So integrating your wound is dark warrior work. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. I mean, that shit is hard, right? That shit is really, really deep and dark. So be graceful with yourself, but realize like that's really what it takes to reinvent yourself. You can't create a new version of yourself if you aren't willing to go in and dissolve the sort of core constraint that is operating your life. You just can't. If this is the fundamental code to your life, you can change the facade all you want, but you're running the same program. You have to learn how to uninstall, blast out that program so that you can write some new code and do it all over again, because it's never ending, right? There's no I'm finally in the pocket, in the sweet spot, living my purpose. It's like, yeah, shadows are still gonna come up. You're still gonna find those limitations, right? So that's the second one. So first we had give everything now, stop waiting. And that points you to really living more of your purpose. But how do you know your purpose? How do you deepen your purpose? Integrating your wound more deeply. That is deep, dark work. And so third, we have patch your leaks. Now this is so transformative, especially, I'm just biased, right? I'm a man, so a lot of my capacity is deepening, my capacity to create is deepening my masculine essence. So for a man, patching your leaks is anywhere that your energy is just leaving your body, consciously or unconsciously, especially unconsciously. For most men, we carry a lot of like sexual leakage. We carry a lot of just, we're porous, right? We can be easily distracted. And again, it doesn't have to involve sexuality, but like we can be really easily distracted. We can have a pull to numb because we just want to be free from demands. We can kind of devote energy to the wrong places, right? So patching your leaks can look a little something like this. For me, I did a 6-month feminine cleanse that I just finished up about 2 weeks ago, where I ended a relationship, kind of co-created the ending of a relationship. Painful, grief, beauty, unconditional love, all of those things, but nonetheless, it really destabilized me in such a way where I saw all of the places that I just wanted love, approval, validation. I was leaking everywhere in hopes that something would come back to me. And so it was very clear, like immediately when that happened, when that separation occurred, that I need to just create space fully for me to become fully alive and feeling the depth of my grief and not seeking anything outside of myself. So I said 6 months, I'm not seeking romance, I'm not seeking relationship, I'm not flirting, I'm certainly not having sex with any women. I'm just kind of cutting out the feminine. Now, of course, I have feminine friends and community and stuff like that, but I am creating an energetic boundary between me and sourcing validation, approval, intimacy, connection, all of those things from the feminine. And oh my gosh, I consider myself somewhat like integrated and sort of strong, but it made me realize just how leaky I was. Leaky and like, man, I just really want somebody to see me and approve of me, which is showing my need to do that to myself, you know? It was like, it really revealed how deep my wound of wanting to be seen and fully chosen went, and how unconsciously my body was kind of gravitating towards the feminine, like, oh, if only she smiles at you, or maybe she'll ask how you're doing, whatever it is, right? It's just me yearning to have this leak patched and filled. But it's like, no, like rather than having it temporarily filled by someone else, what if I learned to patch that myself, right? So instead of me just having energy leaving my body, and then you can take that to whatever physical level you want, instead of having energy leaving my body, like what if I just really got curious about, wow, like where did that leak come from? Why is it leaking? And how can I become whole? And for me, what was really helpful is just cutting a lot of that stuff out, right? Cutting out the seeking of the feminine, and even like you can get down to diet and stuff like that. I mean, that's a huge one that people start to patch leaks, you know? And of course, leaks not physical, like metaphorical, maybe physical, I have no clue. But really get clear on where you're unconsciously like depleting your energy, right? Whether that's to relationships that aren't serving you, whether that's to this constant search for partnership or sex, or whether that's for constant validation for your creative ideas, whatever it is, patch those fucking leaks, you know? Because imagine what happens when now, instead of that energy leaving your system, it stays within you and it circulates and strengthens and amplifies, you know? That's pretty fucking profound. What becomes available when all of a sudden you're running on all that juice and extra energy? So we all have leaks. I mean, it's easy to look to like the blatant areas, like, are you sourcing attention and validation from the feminine? Or are you, you know, like just putting stuff in your body, like alcohol or drugs or whatever that's not serving you? Like, those are really clear areas, but it can be a lot more nuanced for me. But what was really helpful for me was a 6-month feminine cleanse to really become much, much more whole and integrated as just my own essence, disenmeshed from someone else, and not needing something else in my life. And then also from that place, it's like I can much, much more powerfully welcome somebody into my world with a conscious choice and join someone's world without the need, right? It's much more free, much more liberating, right? So patching your leaks, an extraordinarily difficult process, but is going to help you become much, much more creatively empowered. Now, the bonus is create an embodiment practice. And what this means is create 30 minutes of space every day, every evening. For me, it's been in the evenings and in the mornings too, but in the evenings, where your practice is just to really be with yourself and inquire and get curious. It can be rolling around on the mat, you know, getting your stretch on, really getting into breath. It can be like really trying to It could be really creating space for an emotion to move through you that maybe you've been repressing, or that maybe something came up that day and you really need to give the fullness of it, the fullness of your attention to it. It can be opening the doorway to grief that you haven't fully grieved by looking at old photographs. And I mean, there's a multitude of things that you can do. But creating an intentional space where all you have to do is really be with yourself without distraction. You know, I find myself, I'll be in the space, I'll be kind of in practice, and then I'm like, oh, I want to put this song on. Then all of a sudden, like, I'm on YouTube looking for like the live version of a song. And again, like, that's totally fine, but how easy it is to kind of get out of your body and start focusing on something else, right? Even though it was pure, this song's gonna really help me feel something or whatever. But how quickly your attention is subverted away from your own experience. So practice is about creating the container to really be with your experience. It's a really beautiful blend of both the masculine and feminine aspects of yourself. And this is gonna really help you as you start to reinvent yourself. And I'd say it's actually crucial for you to have a practice like this, whether that's every day, every other day, ideally every day, where you're really just sitting with yourself. Because if you actually do this work, holy shit, so much is gonna move through you. So much is gonna, like, you're gonna have breakthroughs, you're gonna have just deep, powerful emotional experiences. You're gonna be really confused, and you're gonna need something to ground, center, and to move and mobilize all of this stuff. And that's what really helps you digest it, right? Because look, at the end of the day, you can listen to a video like this all you want, 20 times. You can watch every single one on the internet. But so long as you keep it up here, you're not gonna get anywhere, right? You have to really digest and integrate knowledge into wisdom in your body. You know, wisdom is just knowledge embodied. But the embodied part is the muddy, murky, musty, deep work that is really, really hard, right? That no one's gonna really, well, maybe if you have structures, but really no one's gonna keep you accountable to that practice other than yourself. I mean, for the love of God, like, get community and support, get a sisterhood, get a brotherhood, men's circle, sisters, whatever it is, like, get the support you need. But realize, like, it's your practice, like, the real work is done in the privacy of your heart, right? So it's gonna take some deep devotion in fucking up and making mistakes and dropping it to pick it up again to really reinvent yourself. But my hope is that this becomes more than words and knowledge to you, and it becomes practice, you know? So let's just do a quick recap. To really increase your aliveness, deepen your life's purpose, and really become all that you can be, there's three main things that you're going to need to focus on in 2025. The first of which is to give everything now, to stop waiting to give your gifts to the world, to express yourself fully, and give everything now, in the messy, unrefined, imperfect version of you. The second is to deepen your life's work through integrating your wound, because we all have core wounds, and integrating and feeling and creating from that place is where you're going to be most powerful, most magnetic, and how you're going to create the most transformational change in your life. Third is to patch your leaks, to really inquire where is energy leaving my system? Where am I looking for approval, for validation? Where am I just giving creative energy away in forms that aren't really creating anything, right? How can I patch those leaks, begin to hold more energy in my body, circulate more energy in my body, so that I'm much, much more resourced to create and impact the world in ways that I want? And then the bonus is you have to create a daily practice to integrate all of this, to chew it over, to digest it, so that it sticks, right? So that it becomes a part of you, so that you don't just go in one ear, out the other. You actually take the time to live it, be it, so that it sticks, right? So that's how you can reinvent yourself in 2025, the ultimate guide. So thanks for sticking around here. I invite you to sign up to my newsletter, where I really, really dive deep into the nuance of what it means to really become fully alive, to do the deep work, and to also give you some inspiration for creativity and how to run your business and all of those juicy, juicy things. So sign up below. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe and drop a comment to let me know if this was helpful. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for sticking here, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.